Hello everyone, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's always a pleasure to be here with you on a Wednesday night. And so we're in for a very special discussion, very special treat tonight. Good evening to you if you're in Dominica and you're listening to us. Very special. Welcome to you because I know there's so much going on in Dominica that if you're making the time to join us on this weekend interview, I really, really appreciate it. RVR Jams radio on DGPay channel 59 carries this weekend interview live. So good evening to you if you're listening that way or however you're listening to us on YouTube or Instagram or Roku, and or no TDN Radio Facebook page, this week in interview Facebook page. There's so many ways you can listen to, or you can listen and watch the program. And so, if you're doing it on one of those media that allows you to give us a like, subscribe, and share the link in the Toronto market. SBE radio, online radio in the Toronto market also carries this week in interview live. So if you're listening to us from there, bonsoir, good evening to you. Uh, my name is Anthony Drago, and we do this weekend interview every week on a Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make it, if you haven't done so, mark it on your calendar so you can join us because we have some of the best discussions online. Or I like to think that my friends through the social media areas are some of the most educated ones. Sometimes we do health, so a lot of times we do art, sometimes we do politics, economic, social, and tonight's conversation I expect to touch into all of those areas, including culture as well. We must take a pause right at the top of the program to think of our brothers and sisters in Jamaica who have just had a really what I can imagine would be just a horrendous experience with Hurricane Melissa. And we or hearts are with you. We hope I haven't heard much coming out except we've seen the dramatic videos and stuff, but we hope there have not been too much loss of life, too many injuries. We hope that for the best possible outcomes, considering how powerful and monstrous Melissa was. And so also in Dominica, those of you who are recovering from World Queer Music Festival, my sympathies are with you. I just say go all out, you play hard, so now you have to recover and let's double down. But that is what tonight's conversation is about, really, though. After you've played for the weekend, how do we work? Because they say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. But a nation that only plays without serious work, I don't know what that would be. And of course, that's why I couldn't answer that question. And we invited Mr. Alex Bruno on, and he's one of the wise ones from experience, from training, from his involvement and participation. He's one of the wise men who most likely, I'm hoping, can help us to answer the question. If not answer it, at least to explore it. Because Dominica celebrates its, what is it? It's a 78. So that is 47 years of independence. And so we want to explore that and see how we would consider our accomplishments so far as a nation, as a people, our challenges, and what are our aspirations. And so let's bring up the guest, my special guest, my brother, Mr. Alex Bruno. He's no stranger to you. He's no stranger to TDN. He's no stranger to this week in interview. He is no stranger in the region. He is a trained political scientist. I know he's done a few more qualifications and degrees. I almost hesitated thinking I'm supposed to call him doctor because I think he's also working on his doctoral degree. But he will bring us up to date in all of that. My brother Alex, welcome to this week in interviews. Always a pleasure for our discussions. You
Eh?
muted. Here we go. Here we go. Good.
Oh,
No, no.
I'm
That,
good.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I am really honored to be here. Still dealing with some trying circumstances, but I really could not say no to Sam when he called and invited me to be here with you as your guest and to share my expertise. That's what I do best, share what I have, my knowledge, with the hope that somebody will take something away from whatever I contribute to the program.
And that's what you're known for. And there are a lot of people who appreciate that. Of course, all of us have our detractors, right? But we
Yeah,
cannot help
man.
them. They have to help themselves when it comes to
That
that.
is so, that
But
is so true.
before we go far into it, my brother, I want to express condolences to
Yeah.
you. You lost your son. I don't know. If, I'm guessing you have other sons. I don't know, but
Yes.
you lost a
Yes.
son recently. In I don't know if any death is a good death, but I'm thinking it's one of the most tragic circumstances. So if you will, I want to give you a minute or two to talk about that and to tell us about your healing and your recovery from that.
Yeah. Well, as I said, this is my first public exposure since the killing of my son, Jaives. He carried my name, Jaives Alex Bruno,
Mm,
who was doing his business, heading to work at a bus stop, and a random drive-by shooting took his life. I mean, Ja was in his full life, in prime. I mean, never had an issue, no health issues. Had so much promised. I had spoken to him a couple of weeks prior, but we don't speak every day because we are grown. He's grown, I'm grown. So
mm-hmm.
it's not like he calls daddy every day, but every now and then he calls me or I call him. And I remember he called me for Father's Day and promised that he was going to give me some grandbabies. And I was
Wow.
excited because, my son is, thinking of getting into the family route and stuff like that. So I was pleased. And the next I heard was that he was deceased. So that hurt me. I'm still hurting. I do
How
not
old
think
was
I'll
he,
ever.
Alex?
32.
In the
And I
actual
had him when
prime.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, and I had him when I was pretty young too. I think I might have been 23 or somewhere thereabout. Well, I was young and we kind of grew together.
Right.
So his death changed my life. I think forever. I am not the same person that I was before July 8th. And I'm just coping. Grief comes in different phases and
Right.
layers. I
Right.
didn't know that up until my time to grieve. And even today, I had a really down moment. When I talked to Samuel, I told him I was feeling a bit depressed. So I have
Mm,
swings. Then it goes from one phase to another. But it has been a real tough and torrid time since we lost Ja and we buried him. And I'm just asking my colleagues and friends to have patience because there are many times I feel as if I should just not be around involved. And there's sometimes I try to be involved and sometimes I don't feel like I should be involved. So it's like mixed feelings.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if my friends and my colleagues and associates would just have a little patience with me, I think I will see probably I could revert to the days before my son was taken away from us. But it has been tough. I mean, it has been really, really tough, Anthony. Really tough.
I cannot even imagine. I have three sons. I cannot even imagine uh,
Really
what
tough.
what that would be like. So all I want to say, Alex, is just keep holding strong. And when you're not strong, cry. I hope.
Yeah,
I am pretty sure you have a support system around you
yeah,
that
man.
that supports
Thank
that,
God.
and you probably have pretty fond memories of your son.
Oh
So
yeah.
all of that helps to dull the edge.
Yeah, man. My mom is a rock. My mom has been with me. She actually is going to be traveling tomorrow, but has been spending some quiet moments with me. We play cards, we do things, we laugh, we talk about the good old days. So my mommy, I mean, boy, a parent in your life can be a miraculous thing. And mommy has been there for the past month plus. So that has been working very well for me. And their friends who have called,
Hmm.
and stay in touch. And interestingly, Tony, I can count on one hand the amount of politicians, number of politicians who called me with fingers to spare. And it caused me to think about my role in our society, whether I really should be working in politics or not, because I've worked with so many people in politics. And I just find it so jarring and bizarre that I have five fingers on one hand and I can count how many politicians actually called me to reach out just to say, you know what, we heard what happened. I mean, to me, I'm not saying that I needed that, but this is so glaring that the
Hmm.
people who you
Hmm.
once worked with, associated with, advised, helped, just couldn't find the decency, the human nurturing feeling to just reach out on an occasion like that to say, hi, I'm sorry. I know we're not in the same party anymore, on good terms anymore, but I heard what happened to you. I'm with you. I mean, Ronald Charles called me, and I can call his name, and probably Mr. James and Paris, uh, and one person from the government side, and maybe a
Oh,
couple more, but I can't remember now. But that was it. I mean,
that was it.
for
Hmm.
someone who is so politically exposed and in the business of politics and
But
political
Alex,
education and stuff like that, it really that one bothered me a little. That more than anything else.
but Alex, I'm not going to make an excuse for them. I'm going to say that's a demonstration of how bad they are at politics.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the basic, uh, the basic semantics, the basic action. If you say you're a cricketer, you decide if you're a batsman or a bowler, and you practice. If
mm-hmm.
you're a batsman, you practice to bat, and you probably go for some runs. And if you're a politician, one of the things that you have to do is to be social and to be compassionate and to be seen by your constituents, not just people in your constituency, but your constituents and stakeholders. And the fact that that happened is what I always say is the weakness of the politicians, not just in Dominica but in the Caribbean, where we don't seem to be strategic. We run
Yeah.
politics as if like how we run fet match. You in
All
Castle
right.
Bruce, we want to go
Mm-hmm.
Calibishi and play cricket on Sunday. We just pick the first 12 guys we get. Let's go Calibishi on
Yeah.
the line, and we happen to play cricket. Um, and that is how I think our politics is run. You deeper in it than me, so maybe you have certain strategic sessions, but
Yeah, in
my impression
several.
is that there's no thought, or very little thought that is put into the governance and into politics in the region, and that is why I think we're seeing the demise
Yeah,
of the region, which segues into the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And let me again really express my appreciation for you, you know, accepting the invitation to come.
yeah, man.
Even
Felt
more
it would
so,
be
I
good
feel
therapy. I
really
felt it have been
honored.
good therapy.
Yeah.
Good
No.
therapy. And let me just mention Ribbon Blackmore. I didn't call his name, but he did call me as well.
Hmm.
And I cannot call everybody who called me, but the politicians in particular, because
Hmm.
I'm so politically
Because that
exposed
is
and
your
so
friend, that
involved.
is your field, really, your area of
Yeah, and I
interest.
just find it so bizarre that people who you worked with for 30 years couldn't. I don't know, man.
The humanity was not there.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
But but
Anyway,
Alex, but Alex, that is, I'm going back to what I'm saying, that Dominica is 47 years independent. Uh,
yeah,
Didi Easter, good evening to you as well. Wilworth says, I can't imagine the pain. Very sorry for your loss, Alex. So the audience are expressing
thank
their
you.
their condolences. But I don't know, when we as a people sit down and decide that this is where we want to be in 5 years as a people. This is where we would like to take our country in 10 years. And so one the conversation I want to have is, if we were to travel back to 1978, November 3rd, 1978, with Patrick John as our premier, turned prime minister. And if we imagine us sitting in a room and saying, okay, we're going to go independent. This is we're small, we're a country. We coming, we're taking over our responsibility for ourselves, and we projected our minds and we say, where would we want our country to be? 50, I'm going to say 50 years because 47 is close enough to 50 in that kind of framework. Where we actually imagine our country would be, what kind of activities, how would our people be living 50 years from now? If you think about it in that framework, Alex, start your conversation in terms of what have we achieved? What is, why we didn't achieve maybe what we probably would have aspired to, and how do we go forward?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I am not sure that there was any strategic plan. Well, there might have been, because Patrick John was our first prime minister, and I have a text of his statement that he gave during independence. I also have a text, an audio of a statement that E.O. Leblanc would have given in 1971. So I have a lot of foundational documents, so to speak, of our nation. But those documents never came into fruition because Patrick and the Labour Party was taken out of government a few months after independence. We got independence on November 3rd, 1978. And by the 29th of May, 1979, the government had been
Yeah,
toppled.
I'm
So there
strong.
was never a moment for any of the dream of independence to have taken root. And then when Patrick was replaced, the regime that replaced him did not have this ethos of independence as Patrick did, because the system that replaced Patrick was a sort of a neo-conservative movement, and the ideals was driven by outside external forces. So the local domestic growth did not happen the way it should have happened. So one could probably say that since independence, the message, the promise of independence has never been practiced and or realized. Yes, there was a brief moment where the UWP came into office, spent 4.5 years in office, and I think we're trying to follow the vision of the founders of our nation. But I don't think they were allowed a long enough stint for the realization of that dream, of that vision. So essentially, Tony, we have not really had a regime, a team, a government in place that have seriously looked at the pillars of growth of our nation and what independence really meant to us. So 47 years of what?
Right?
Celebration of a promise, celebration of a symbolism, of what? What was the blueprint? And I can go over Patrick John's blueprint and we can dissect it maybe on another
I would
program
like,
if you would
I
like.
would no, but I would like to, if you can recall off the top of your head, or if you have it in front of you, what are like two or three of the main aspirations? And if you can talk about the Libra one as well, because the independent movement kind of started, was in full swing then. What were some of the aspirations that were utterances um, at that time? And let me just say, Viva Mamo is saying hello to us.
Oh, Viva
Happy
is an
to have
amazing
Viva.
person, amazing player in the affairs of our politics. And I am
Definitely.
very pleased to
He,
be associated with Viva as someone who contributes
he's one of
to.
the without cutting you short, he's one of the characters I aspire to because he comes under fire and he's always cool. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to pull up the Patrick John statement,
Mm.
the actual statement that Patrick John would have given. And if I don't get it up now because I'm a little distracted, I will certainly get it up for you and we'll
Mm,
play it and I'll speak a little bit more about it. But
mm,
from what I remember of what Patrick was saying, well, first of all, he had a declaration that was
mhm.
made in Salisbury. And then he had an independence message that he gave.
Oh,
And the declaration of independence and the message will kind of fuse into one. He was talking about the hope of the people, the ordinary person, the aspiration of the Dominican person, how they were going to grow the Dominican economy from grassroots enterprise and the unity of purpose, where parties come together under the umbrella of progress and work, forgetting whatever differences exist, and be entrepreneurial in our approach, harness Dominica's resources, and develop local industries, promote agencies that benefits the ordinary man. And he didn't make mention directly of the national institutions that he ended up creating, like the National Bank, Social Security, and all those amenities. But all of that was part of his
These
vision.
were
He
created.
spoke
Social
very,
Security just created Patrick John. Social
the
Security
Social Security as is, the Provident Fund was not, but Social Security as reconstructed would have been a
was under
Patrick
Patrick
John.
John. Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow, major,
And a
major.
number of other programs. I mean, I didn't come here to talk about him, but I mentioned a few other things that he would have done. But he was about sustainable development for the ordinary person and protection of the way of life of the local man through progressive enterprise development, business, entrepreneurship, farming, agriculture, horticulture. That is what Patrick was about. And he had serious ideas as to how this could have been developed. And words to that effect. Again, as I said, I can always share that document with you as soon as I get my
I
hands on
would
it. And
love
it'll be
that. I will, and maybe
a
we
bit,
can schedule coming up into the new year. We can schedule a series of programs, if it's once a
oh,
month,
oh, yeah, man.
to go
Oh,
through
yeah.
that and to really, because man. So you're saying that when we started to go into independence, that vision was there for the upliftment of the Dominican person and the
Yeah.
Dominican people.
Yes, it was, certainly. In fact, I have it now. I pull it up now, and I
Mm.
can just give you a really a glimpse of what Patrick John says. He started his speech by saying, "Today must be for us a day of national concession as we boldly move forward to keep our rendezvous with the history and join the international community of free and sovereign nations." He was a wonderful orator with big visions, big ideas, sometimes not very thorough in his thinking and his strategy, because he made a lot of blunders, but he was someone who was genuinely concerned about growing his country and promoting the well-being of his people. So everything that I told you is actually in the speech.
Mm-hmm.
We wish to express to all those who helped to smooth the way to our march to independence at this time patience and goodwill, our country's deepest gratitude. It is my very great honor on this memorable and historic occasion to accept on behalf of the people of Dominica the constitutional instrument terminating the status of association statehood between Her Majesty, government of the United Kingdom, and the country of Dominica. And then he went into developing his speech that all men are created equal. He spoke about that. He was very religious or spiritual when it comes to rights of individuals. He spoke about Dominica having ties with metropolitan countries and to develop those ties. And he suggested how those ties could be developed. So he was not saying that now that we are independent, we should break away from England. He said we should find ways to forge relationships with England that does not bound us to coloniality or
Right.
colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
So he pretty much said, look, we cut the ties, but we have to find new ways to establish and to keep the ties growing. So it was a pretty interesting speech, maybe like 3,000-4,000 words. And he had different components to the speech, and he had different focus on different aspects of the speech. A blueprint, I'm telling you, a virtual blueprint for Dominica's independence moving forward. But that again, probably some people have never seen that speech. Probably that speech was never developed.
I, for one, has never seen it. No.
I will send the speech to you. I'll
Yeah.
send it to you right after I'm done with the program. He talked about the youth and the role that the youth has to play in our society. Our newly independent country needs for sober and wise leadership. We call on the youth of the Commonwealth of Dominica to be sober and constructive, not to be COing every day, morning, noon, and night, but to be sober and constructive in the way in which they face this thing called independence. Therefore, both government and opposition within the system of mixed economy should work together to develop Dominica's economy, to modernize agriculture. I spoke about that before. And to create industries where both Dominica government and the opposition would benefit. That is Patrick John, vintage Patrick John. Probably he was a bit naive to think that things would be so utopic. But he had he had a plan. And I challenge you to show me any other leader, maybe besides Mr. James, who had a plan similar to Mr. John's plan in black and white. So I'll go back to the first question that you asked me. What has happened in 47 years? Well, celebration of something which has been turned into a bit more of something or maybe nothing within the past quarter century for sure. Well, maybe the second half of the last quarter century, because we have switched our focus what Dominica celebrated to now a more Siwu, to the point where we just had a Creole Music Festival, which ended. We had massive amount of people coming into Dominica to enjoy Dominica's heritage, and they have all left, or they are all leaving, while the celebration of the real heritage is going to take place this weekend.
Right.
So I do not understand how that works. Probably the celebration of our heritage is not to be promoted and not to be enjoyed by others. Probably it's only for us, and probably that's a good thing. But I would imagine we should find a way, the way we had married before, we should keep it, because at the time there was a pushback. But the Creole Festival and the Independence have become a smish smash of events. And I think they have been working. I do not know what's the thinking behind the people who divorce them right now from each other. But I think it makes very little economic sense, especially for the exportation of our cultural product, that we had the biggest opportunity, the biggest stage, and that event is over. All the French people and everyone else has gone back. And the people who are in the traditional cultural craft cannot make some money from the boom that we just experienced a few days ago. That, to me, does not really add up as something that makes a lot of sense. But probably the people who are doing it know better than I do. And there might be some
So
very wonderful reasons for that.
yeah, because what you're saying is what is the goal, what is the objective? And if the goal is to just bring people to Dominica for a festival, then that's fine. But if the goal is to create a Dominican brand, which seems to be available to us because of what's happening with Bouillon and how Bouillon is infiltrating and everybody else is trying to claim it also, um, it gives us it has shown, it has demonstrated, young people have taken Bouillon, demonstrated
Yeah.
how we can use our culture to be income generating and to really contribute towards a brand, a nature island brand for our music. And so, if we talk about achievements, I think the World Korea Music Festival definitely goes into the column of achievements in the sense of having an event in Dominica that for that seems to be of a high standard, that is
Yeah.
able to attract uh, numerous people and so on. So that can go as an accomplishment.
It is a
I'm
major accomplishment.
I'm picking the low mango. Eh? So you are climb. I see you climb tree on Facebook already. So I'll leave the climbing for you. I picking the low. If you laugh for getting the gold medal at the Olympics is a major achievement. I don't
Well,
know. I don't know how much we want to claim it, but she's given it to us. She's brought it to us.
so
What
are we
what
looking at
other
what we
achievements we have
achieve as a people since independence, or
since
what are we
independence?
looking at?
Since independence, what have we achieved that we can be proud of? I mean, I know
Because of independence, or as a people
as a
generally?
people, as a Dominican nation. So, for example, the host of the World Crime Music Festival, TLR4, maybe the late Clarice Etienne getting a top global position at PAHO. Um, I mean, we're
I mean,
struggling, right?
yeah, I mean, well, again, what is development? I mean,
No,
it's
I'm talking about
development.
achievement and accomplishments. I
So,
know,
because I mean, we have had some notable achievements. I mean, we had Olin Bully, who has gone to the
yeah,
wild
Owen
beyond, but
Bullion icon, and definitely a regional icon in the arts and culture.
so
Yeah,
he's one of our most revered Dominican sons, and
Yeah.
his achievement goes beyond the Dominican soil. He
Hmm.
would have returned to Dominica um, after serving overseas, and he was always called chief cultural officer. So yes, he's a major achievement. So you cannot not add him to that.
Yeah.
Our music, as you said, not just the bouillon, but coming up after the early 1970s, the Calypso,
Calypso.
soca has done a lot for us, and now bouillon has mushroomed up
Hmm.
to a particular level. The solidization of our Creole cultural celebration, where we have a signature, unlike any other Caribbean country in terms of the observance of our culture. One year
Right.
we have celebration, one year we have competitions. So that too would have been a marked
Hmm.
improvement. I think in terms of infrastructure, the country looks a bit differently now in terms of the physical infrastructure of our
You
country.
think so?
The current, well, the
I mean,
housing stock has,
let me tell you why why I'm pushing back on that. I hadn't been to Dominica since 2010, and then I went there in quick succession at the end of 24 and the beginning of 25. And to me, I
mm,
swear, I used to live on King George Street when I lived in Roseau. The
yeah,
gutter and the sidewalk look the same from when I was
that
going
is
to grammar
true.
from when I was going to grammar
That is
school in
very true.
1978.
That is true
Um,
about the city, but did you go to Bobwa and see the development in that area?
you're talking about people building their individual homes from that
That's
point
what
of
I'm
view.
talking about, the infrastructural development. That would be
Uh,
private sector matters as well. I do not know whether the state apparatus have improved. I mean, we had a new financial center, we have stadium. These things cannot be counted out when it comes to physical. I mean, and that's your area too, Tony. So we have had those before independence. We did not have that. I remember Windsor Park before independence, and Windsor Park after independence is, it's different. So you have to actually put that in the achievement column. The
there's somebody
housing stock
pushing
might have
back at us, Alex. Somebody pushing back at us and saying that the World Creole Music Festival was a dismal failure. I want to ask
no.
Didi to put a few more, qualify that for us, please. Give us one or two reasons why
No,
you
I
think it was
don't
a
think the
failure.
festival failed. I think a number of things we could have done that we did not do. Like the
Mm,
festival now appears to be a big bomb of Siwu, which is fine. We can be the Siwu nation, but we can also use the Siwu as an enterprise to
mm,
create other businesses. Like we could let the people stay back or do the event at a time when people would spend money at the Wop Duet show that's on tonight. There's a Wop Duet show on tonight. The participation, the patronage at that show, if we had it, or if we had the cultural celebration, if we had the festival activities, no, would be night and day. You would have that place flooded, more money in the pocket of the Creole, all of the division of culture
mm,
and stuff like that. So we can use the opportunity to see, to probably do more things. For instance, the Creole symposium we used to have that we no longer have. The
right.
creation of a traditional and signature musical album, the craft exhibition,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So the Siwa is great. A Siwa is good, but it can't be just all Siwa. I heard
Yeah, we
somebody
just
from
yeah.
St. Martin said that she gave up. Dominica win because all we do in Dominica is nasty business and Siwa. That's what people are saying about us. Now, that might be good, but it also is dubious because we are not a nasty business nation or CO nation. We are a progressive nation and we can do nasty business. I have no issues with nasty business, especially if you are of age and you want to do your nasty business in a serious, responsible way. But it cannot just be that. There must be some other things added to it. At least let's do the nasty business well, as Sparrow et al. Would have done in the day when they were doing their nasty business.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, you know, I had a thought. I had a thought after yesterday, and I said that this current set of people who run in Dominica seem to be so good at organizing a fete that we should give them the festival part of Dominica to manage and get some serious people to run the rest of the affairs of the country. I don't want to draw you into a political discussion. Even if you are a creature, a political creature, I don't want to draw you into a political discussion. But one of the criticisms that I have of Dominica and of the region of a whole is the absence of political and social leadership that could guide our people towards achieving our aspirations. We have a successful leader, if you want to call it that way, who's managed to, well, a party who has managed to remain in the reins of power for 25 years. That in and of
Mhm.
itself is a success.
That's a
Um,
good thing in terms of the stability of power and the
right,
continuity of
but
governance, but it
but
can be a bad thing in terms of the stagnation and the stalemate of the incumbency. So it
right,
goes both ways. Yeah.
and especially, Alex, you say you dealt with them. I am on the outside.
Yes.
My impression from the outside is that the incumbent is not interested in developing Dominica. Do you think that they're not interested? They're just not
Mhm.
capable. What do you think?
No, I think it's more of the latter. I think they are very interested. I think everybody
In
who came into
developing
government came
Dominica?
there. I think they are interested. I don't think I think the capabilities and the interests do not combine, and as such, they are handicapped. The government right now, because of the longevity of the government in office, ideas are not very fresh in their mind. So you need a new group of people probably, and they might have different ideas. But I think they want to do well. It's just that they cannot do well because the government pretty much is collapsed into one person. I think it is evident that the Honorable Prime Minister is the one who comes up with the ideas and the decisions for government. And he's the one who does the work in most instances. And the other people in government mainly respond as members of the choir. Probably that's how the Prime Minister and the government wants it to be. But that's not how government should be because ideas don't only reside in one head. Yes, there must be cabinet meetings and people discuss stuff, but essentially, I think it's the Prime Minister's will that is being heeded, especially when we hear certain statements being made by him on education, on agriculture, on everything. And you only, as one individual, you cannot think 100 for 100 people. You can only think for yourself.
Especially a busy individual. Your brain doesn't get a
Yeah,
chance to go
no,
into the
it is
creative
really
flow.
tough to manage small economies and Caribbean countries. And the Prime Minister has been managing Dominica for the better part of 20 years. Well, over 20 years. This is a big ask. It's a tall order. And he's tired. He's weary. He's trying, but there's that much you can expect from him after 20 years at the helm of a country like Dominica. And there are people who might be saying, well, let him continue. And they may be saying that to his detriment. Because power is lovely, but it's a crazy master when it takes control of you. And we have examples of prime ministers meeting with their mortal demise in our office. Now, I pray God that our current prime minister does not go that way. But outside of that, he's wary. And I think probably he really wants to go to, but he does not probably feel as if the heir apparent, the replacement, is suited enough. Because that's another criticism that can be hurled at the opposition. Maybe we can see to that the opposition has not shown the people of Dominica that they really are willing and able and capable to move Dominica progressively outside of taking vendetta against the current regime. There, that has been a criticism. Probably it's an unfair one, but it's one that has been made because a lot of the narrative of the current opposition, well, not current opposition, because the opposition is everybody and the party that is supposedly the main opposition is not even in the parliament of Dominica. So we cannot even refer to them as the current opposition. The leader of the opposition, we're not even sure who it is. Well, based on my understanding, it has to be Jesma. But I think she resigned and nothing
Well,
happened in terms of the transition. But
that there is a kind of whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
That it
but,
will,
but
yeah. But I agree
But I
with
was just
you.
trying to
I
clear up the point I
Go
was
ahead.
making in terms of the opposition not
Yeah.
being the party that claims to be the opposition now, because that is no longer a status that they can claim, having not competed in the last election, having no place in the parliament and stuff like that. And herein lies the problem. So the Dominicans are left to wonder, what is it really we're going to do? Do we take these guys out who at least have been there and they know how things are working, and to put these guys who are just there saying things and making noise and calling this guy's name all the time? What about what is it that you can do for us? So these are the conversations I hear in my circles when I do my pools and I talk to Dominicans. And I think Dominica's Dominica's moment will come when the right group of people will present themselves, and Dominicans will say, okay, here we go, and they'll replace the present government peacefully. It's not going to be violent. It's going to be a very peaceful transfer of power where Dominicans are going to vote a new regime into office and take this one out. But I do not think that Dominicans have really seen a serious group of people who can be trusted with the power of the state. Even if they see it, but the narrative and the antics and the strategy does not lend itself to that. And essentially, those who seek to replace the current regime have failed the people in that aspect. The lack of organization, bringing people together, building coalition, bringing, like minds together. That has not happened. On the other side, the party in power has done that successfully. Keep on taking membership from the opposition, keep on doing things, keep on at least presenting a case for them to continue to be reelected, even while they mass in it and they try to change things around to benefit them politically, which we know. But outside of that, they are at least putting up a front. And that has been working for them for the past quarter
So,
century.
Alex, my response to you is that I really agree with you, right? I it is said that a leader is only successful after his successor has succeeded. Okay,
Yes.
so for example, a lot of people claim that Miss Charles was a great leader, but when
Mm.
she left, the Freedom Party imploded because she never catered for succession. The leader after her was unsuccessful. So that makes, by that definition, that makes her unsuccessful leader.
Correct.
The current Prime Minister of Dominica seems to make no attempt to groom a successor.
Yeah.
So even if you say Labour Party were in power for 25 years, um, there is no clear, deputy prime minister. And he seems to be carrying on the practice that was started by Miss Charles, where when she travels, she put a different person to act. So you never,
Yeah.
so nobody stands out as a deputy. On the opposition side, we had the same thing. We had one person stay as the leader of the main opposition party for and losing elections for
Yeah.
almost the same length of time.
Right.
So
Yeah,
so
right.
it's not so the same criticism that we have for the
Yeah.
incumbent, the opposition is not showing us something different enough. Um, and some parties are just bad at politics. It's like the Democratic Party in the US is just bad at politics. You can give them
Yeah.
a golden goose and they will not be able to do anything with it. Whereas the Republicans can, you know, I don't know, can go to Alaska and sell ice. Um,
You're right. You're quite right.
and I think that is the narrative. The United Workers Party allowed the narrative to be taken away from them, and they've not been able to do anything to recapture and to
Well,
revamp the
well,
narrative in the minds of the people.
it's not that they have not been able to, they have not wanted to. It's
They've not
not that they
tried.
didn't get
Mm,
advice or
mm.
counsel or suggestion or support or help or direction or strategies. The party had bluntly refused to move towards the direction of political progress. And I really never understood why. And take it from me, Tony, I can say so because I was involved with the strategic arm of the party. I was appointed as a strategist to work with the party. And there was never one moment where we sat down in strategy session to talk about the way forward. In fact, the ideas that I brought were trampled over severely, viciously. There was never a moment where anything was taken on board to say, well, okay, let's try that something differently. One of the first things I said as a strategy was, let's move away from the calling of the names of the opponent. No mention of the name Roosevelt Skerrit ever again. And that was the worst
That's a
thing I said.
simple strategy to
That was the
understand.
first thing I said.
Hmm.
Let us not call Roosevelt's current name when we are putting power to the name when we refer to the name. Because I understood how politics work. Even if you call my name in bad and you call my name, you giving attention to me. I say, guys, no longer let's do it. That was the worst thing I could have said. I don't think I was ever forgiven for that. And other things as well. So again, I'm not here to bash UWP. I think I've moved beyond that
Hmm.
because I am an independent thinker and player when it comes to the politics of Dominica. And if I'm here with you, my duty is to express the viewpoints that I think I can express on your program. So I'm not really criticizing UWP. In fact, I think they are one of the strongest political movements, if not the strongest political movement on the island, because the Labour Party does not exist as a Labour Party. There's a power sharing arrangement quoted as Labour. The only party that has longevity as a party, a true bona fide party, is UWP. Freedom
UWP.
has been around, but they have not been contesting elections. So UWP has longevity. The party has good promise, but very, very terrible political strategic leadership.
And
And
and and and
that has been
implementation
a
and
problem.
execution. So Alex, look,
Yeah.
let me give you a moment to talk about your party. I'm saying your party because you are the leader, you are a member of TUD, right?
TUD, yes.
All right. You want to spend a minute and talk
Oh,
about that?
oh, well, I am not a major politician in terms of the playing of the day-to-day events. So Carlos is the one who handles that. I'm the
Who's Carlos?
person behind. Carlos Charles
Okay.
is the one who is the engine behind the movement. I
So he's the
am,
political leader, or you guys?
well, there is the political leadership of the party is in transition. I cannot go ahead and announce the change as
Okay.
yet, but it has
Okay. That's
been in
fine. That's
transition.
fine.
And,
Okay.
and when the party decides to announce a change, and I know a change has been negotiated or is being negotiated, and it will be a very prosperous change. So my involvement is as a co-founder and as a trustee, so to
So
speak,
what is the
who
platform?
guides
What are the main platforms of the party?
or unity of purpose to consolidate all efforts of all opposition voices. If the TUD had the kind of platform and foundation that UWP had, game over. So the main focus of TUD is to unite around one message.
Hmm.
And TUD has been reaching out to all parties saying, why can't we just harmonize our message, plan, strategize, and take that message to the incumbent? And I don't think any party so far has agreed. The Freedom Party say they're trying to rebuild. The UWP, I don't think has ever responded. And I don't think there's any other party outside of that. I think there's another party that existed before. I can't remember the name, but I know it's a young
PPP.
lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
People's
I really do
Progressive
not,
Party or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, I do not know what they are doing, but I just think,
People's. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. But TUD is about
Somebody's asking
bringing all
somebody's asking what is TUD?
Team Unity Dominica.
Team Unity Dominica. All right.
That is the name. And it was built for that, for unity. And the Constitution speaks to that as well. We're not saying that all parties should be one, but we're saying all parties should speak as one. If you're going to have a meet and greet Dominicans coming for independence, let's have one forum where all different parties meet at this one place and just talk to Dominicans instead
Right.
of Freedom having theirs and Workers having theirs. And let's just come together. Leaders of the parties say, guys, we're at a juncture in Dominica now where we have to unite. Message to take on the incumbent. So we have to find ways to do that, even if we are staying as independent parties, but we have to have unity of purpose and the
Right.
empowerment of the new generation of Dominicans, the young people. Talk about survival and hope. Right now, there's very little hope on the island. People are trying to leave, people are still leaving. We have to offer hope, we have to offer a chance. But the
So would you say that's
united,
one of the major challenges that we have in Dominica? Because
yes,
we talk about achievements and lack of. I want to that's one of the main challenges we have is what seems to be an absence of hope in the people,
yes,
youth.
that's the number one issue in Dominica, political issue in Dominica, where Dominicans pretty much do not see much hope in what is remaining of our country. There are people who believe that Dominica is finished. I'm telling you, I can show you results of polls that I have done where people have literally given up. And a lot of people on the opposition side have given up more than those on the government side, on the majority side. People have just gone quiet and say, Alex, if I give up, I tired. It's
Hmm.
going to take a lot to bring people back. But
Right.
people will not come back with just one party shouting, I am the party. They will come back with a message that tells them we are ready. Like Patrick John said 47 years ago, let us unite our voices for progress.
What
And
are
that
some
is
of
the
the other?
thing.
I'm sorry.
Hmm?
What are some of the other challenges that you see that Dominica that's facing Dominica right now?
Well, jobs and opportunities
Economic.
for engagement and upward
Okay.
mobility. There is a stagnation of growth in the public and private sector, where the people who were in positions 20, 40 years ago are the ones who are still in positions. They might have retired and come back as consultants. So there is very little room for growth. The only thing that is growing right now in the economy is the music, Bouillon is us, and Bouillon is not yet even patented. The government has not even protected Bouillon, and given Bouillon an international platform. And yes, Issa Banton is an ambassador, or probably he was an ambassador. But look at what the Antigans are doing with Burning Flames. Why can't the government of Dominica do that with WCK?
What are they
Make
doing
them men
in Flip? Oh,
ambassadors.
ambassadors.
Tell
Okay.
them stop that nonsense about two WCK. There should be one WCK. The government has to intervene and say, fellas, let us do that for country. Give them man the golden seal, the key to the city, and say, here, what do you need? Pay them a salary and give the bouillon the platform, the state platform that it needs to grow. Look at what Barbados did with Square One and RPB. Gordon Henderson is still not yet an ambassador, the man that created Scada Slipso. So the government is just not organizing around its people, and that is one of the problems. The stagnation is alarming, where one group continue to have it all, and the others of us don't have it. One of the things I wanted to do, Tony, because of the 25th anniversary of our Creole Festival, I would have liked to have presented, because I was one of the original presenters of the Creole Fest. Of course, I was taken out of the fest for maybe 15, almost 20 years now, for political reasons. That albeit, I don't mind. But I would have liked to have done it for the 25th anniversary. And I actually did try, and I was never responded to because maybe people think I could not maybe do an effective job. But these are the things we have to move away from: the politics, the partisanship. Even Alex criticizes you. So what? So what? Alex is a Dominican too who can do the job. Let Alex do the job. You will look good if Alex look good. Everybody will look good. But in Dominica, we are very petty when it comes to those little things. And as such, we will put people who we like or who we think like us, um, to do the things that we want them to do. At the end of the day, if it's mediocrity or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Let us do it that way. So Dominica, we are lacking in terms of a turnover of talent and resources. And if you listen to the Creole Festival coverage on the different media house, you will hear very older voices that has been there and there and there and there. If you look at the management of the Creole Music Festival stage, it is the same person that started managing it 20 how many years ago. Why can't there be new, younger people involved in some way, shape, or form? Why can't we do a bit more to our
You know,
young budding entrepreneurs?
that is what I think. That is what I think is at the if we distill the issues with the region, with the Caribbean and with Dominica, that is what it is. That for somehow we we honor, I don't know what you want to call it, so much, that if we have a PTA and Alex is the treasurer, when we have meetings next year, nobody want to go up and challenge Alex to be treasurer because they think if they challenge Alex, Alex think, well, oh, you think I mismanaging the money, or you think I thieving the money, and so Alex remains treasurer of the PTA for 5, 6, 7 years. Um, Sports, the same captain want to stay as the same
Yeah.
captain even when he cannot play cricket again. And I Steve Eva is in the audience, and sometimes I express it on online, and I get a lot of pushback. I personally, and unfortunately, I am being proven right. I think that absolutely all the efforts that we put in towards electoral reform is a waste of energy and resources if we did not include
Yes.
term limits. If we did not
Not,
include term limits and a fixed date for election, I think
but
everything everything we did was just, as some people say, pissing in the wind.
window dressing, window dressing.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And for in the benefit of the incumbent party. That was
Yeah.
pretty much an exercise in futility. That to me didn't go anyways. Money that was used just for a purpose.
And even, I'm talking
And
even on the opposition side too,
yes,
not pushing for term limits is
and
a
and
fight
to
that you have to come back and fight again.
and to add to your argument as well, one of the most pressing need that should have been addressed by this reform should have been the balancing of the constituencies. Probably less constituencies, but you cannot
But
have Mahu
redistricting, yeah.
redistrict. You can't have Mahu constituency with 3,000 people or 2,000 something people, and St. Joseph with 400, 500, 600 people. You have to have proportional representation. So you have to redistrict the boundaries. The boundaries were changed by Dame Eugenia, Labour Freedom Party, when she finally got into office, because Freedom was never going to win elections in Dominica had it not been for what happened. We can talk about that too for at length, because the Patrick John Labour Party was at its time the single most important organization in the Caribbean. A lot of misinformation and disinformation saw the fall of John. Freedom Party took over a new idea, very good. And when they took over, they wanted to stay taking over, so they changed the boundaries around. My village, Calibishi, was voting with Wesley and Woodford Hill. And Freedom Party was not going to win that seat. They changed the seat and they put Calibishi into Paybush to allow an opportunity for Freedom Party to win Calibishi. But Calibishi was a Labour seat. It is a Labour seat now. Well, whatever they call it now. But the Freedom Party was not going to win those seats, and they changed the boundaries in those areas. And as such, we have boundaries that look big and small, areas that look big and small. So what we should have done is to look at the 21 constituencies and see whether we need 21 MPs. I don't think we need 21 MPs in Dominica. We could do with 15 MPs. Dominica's population does not call for 21 people representing us in Dominica.
I think we could run Dominic on 11 constituencies.
Maybe that too.
I mean,
In fact, TUD's plan incidentally is to have 11 ministries. Right. 11 ministries. You could have maybe more constituencies, but 11 ministries. And you can talk to Carlos or whoever sometime about that. But yes, at least
I would love to get him on the show. So I mean, connect us. I would love to get him on the show, on the program.
No.
So our challenge, I think, is it has to go right back down to our education and our type of how we approach it. What kind of thought? And if the government is not going to do it, can we do it as private citizens to create a country plan? And we have TDN, we have Q95, we have Kyrie FM, we have, I don't think we have the Sun newspaper, and go on like a real campaign,
education campaign,
to really popularize it, that, because I want to go into the last segment. I know we're on the hour, but aspiration, what are the aspirations of the country?
Well, you mean the unofficial aspirations, or what it should be?
I
what
mean,
is it that
I
you
know it's
really...
coming from Alex Bruno, but I mean, we're approaching 50 years. There's 3 more years for 50, but maybe 55. What would you want to see? What would you want to see coming out of Dominica? What do you want to see in Dominica when Dominica is 55 years independent?
What I like is political maturity and a level of political education that speaks to progress and growth. Gone are the days, or we should bury the days of the political tribalism, where because Alex is apparently not supporting the party in power, Alex should not eat. Probably Alex should not eat steak, but Alex should eat something, because Alex is a citizen of the country. So political maturity is key. I do not know whether we can achieve that in 3 years.
That's
and
why
that calls for political education. Yeah. That calls for the political education that you're speaking about. Mr. G, you team and others must really get serious and invite people like me and others who are willing to share, to openly and honestly share. I mean, you invite me, I always come on with you, Tony, but I have not been. I can't remember the last time, but a media concern called me and invited me to have a conversation. Maybe because I'm busy
And
or they
and
think I'm busy.
I also invited you earlier in the program to organize a once a month.
You did. So what I'm saying is, I'm not asking or begging to be on the media. What I'm saying, the
No,
media
no,
has to
no.
tap into the talent and resources of people who can help in the political
Spread the
education, and I
message.
can
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And I can help. That's what I do. And I have always been balanced with my message up until recently when I decided to form a party and I was seen as partisan. Even being partisan, I was still trying because I was saying, if the current traditional parties are not doing it, let's do a new party and try to do it differently. That's why I did the party. It's not that I'm biased. I just wanted to give an idea, a different kind of approach to the politics. So political education that is progressive and political maturity that sees Dominicans as Dominicans as Dominicans. Where yes, you can feel like a political tribalism and you're like a banter, but at the end of the day, if somebody's son die, you can call them and say, "Hey, what's going on? What can I do for you?" If we cannot do that as a country, the aspirations that we probably desire will never be felt and will never be had. We also need a situation where we have structure, things in place. The reform you said should really create term limits. Well, I do not see how that's going to happen, but that should have happened. Regularize the boundaries. Look at financial spending. Look at election spending. Fix dates for election. That is when you start putting things in place, and Dominica start leading
Let
the
me
way.
put Viva's comment back up. Viva say one, campaign financing; two, term limits; three, fixed election date; four, review of electoral boundaries. He said, do not say the opposition had not been advocating for these issues. On the contrary, it's the United Workers' Party and Joshua Francis who has been advocating these issues. The point I'm making, Alex, give me a second to make that point.
Sure.
If it was up to me, any kind of electoral reform would be a non-starter if term limits wasn't the first thing on the agenda. And when I say that, people say, well, that would be difficult to achieve because you have to have constitutional amendment, blah, 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 blah. Hard is okay. But I'm saying if you're fighting for 15 years and you're not, if you're treating a bobo for 15 years and all you're doing is changing the plaster, you're going to be changing that plaster 15 more years.
Yeah.
Let us fight for 20 years and get electoral reform because and get term limits and get fixed date for election uh, and the boundaries that you talk about, because I believe that that isn't. I might be proven wrong because you can get a dictator, and because he has a majority in the House, he can pass a motion to
That's the
circumvent
point.
whatever it is and do a third
Mhm.
term. But at least it takes that effort. It doesn't. It doesn't, and that extra step might give other people in his own party the chance to oppose it. All right. But this person saying, me personally believe any politician that take over Dominica, they should be taking care of everybody equally. That's what I
Amen.
believe. And if you cannot do that, you shouldn't be in politics. Well, all of us believe
That's
that, but it seems like, I don't know, Alex, it seems like the effort it takes to get into power changes people into something different.
different kind of beings. And that feeds into the argument that I've made that we have had a vendetta, tit for tat politics since independence. Since independence. It's tiwe sala, mete sala, tiwe sala, mete sala. You think if workers get labor out, workers is going to do. I mean, I'm not saying that they will spend all their time getting back at labor, but they have been out for so long that there are certain things that maybe a fresh regime would not worry about. So if a fresh group of guys, let's say you, Sam, me, we take over the government now, we're not going to worry about the stale old banter and vendetta politics. We're going to start on a clean page and we're going to look out for the well-being of Dominicans. But I'm telling you, if workers is successful in taking out labor right now, there's going to be some old scores that will
That
need
have
to
to
be
be settled.
settled. And that is the problem for politics. We have become very still, tit for tat, vendetta. That's why, yes, workers have a major role to play, but they cannot be just them. They must show that they have shifted the narrative, they have embraced the new ideas and other people, and they are willing not to wallow in the sorrow of the past, but move on to progress, move on to greater determination, move on to a new dispensation. If Dominicans don't see that, Dominicans will not so go with it. And that is the problem. Now, the other side in power don't have anything new as well, but at least they are there. And you talk about the reform, and Viva is right that workers have been speaking about that. But there's one thing to speak about something, and there's one thing to speak effectively about something and getting it done. So they had not been able to, and again, they were hard pressed to, because the party in power has an imposing advantage. Especially now that reform was done. Reform was done when workers was outside of the parliament. And I could not understand for the likes of me that you're fighting for this, and when you had to do it, you are out of parliament. You are speaking as an ordinary citizen. You cannot stand there and lead the opposition and challenge and say what you want. Who's going to take you very seriously and put your fingers on the thing? Because they took the bait. How could you not contest an election even if you're not happy? You contest, you get 2 free people elected, you stand in parliament and you fight. Your fight will be gazetted. But where is UWP fight gazetted? Nowhere. Because they were an ordinary party. They left power, went outside of power and fighting for power. And I told them that, and Viva doesn't like me to say it. Viva doesn't like me when I say that. But you don't do that. Because when you did that now, the Prime Minister said, okay, well, now we're doing the reform. Or you're not there, let's do it. And they did it. And you're out of it.
So Alex, I'm not pushing back on what you said. Where I had a bit of blame on United Workers' Party for not contesting is that they did not seem to have a step 2. Okay, step 1, we boycott, we're not contesting.
Yeah.
What was the step 2? I'm still waiting to hear what was the step 2 supposed to be.
But Tony, there was not even a plan for step 1. There was not even a reason. When I heard the leader of the UWP said that the international world will not legitimize the government if they win with no contest. And that was very erroneous to say. I mean, how could you be thinking that was going to happen? And that was the reason he gave publicly for not contesting. So that was the step 1 way, that the international world will see that we didn't contest, so the government will not be legitimized. In which book that's going to be the case? You give them nana dui, power without a fight. Of course they're going to be legitimized. You have a writ signed by the president. There's going to be elections. That was the easiest victory these guys had. On the reform.
Yeah, and we're not sure what was step 2 at all. Okay, so we boycott. What next?
No, exactly.
And that's where I blame them. Owen Prosper is saying he's locked in. Owen is here every Wednesday for years, man. Owen, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Owen comes back every Wednesday. Viv, I hope I see you next week Wednesday. but Alex, so aspiration. I'm an engineer. I'm a water engineer. So my aspiration is a water industry in Dominica. Let's talk about aspiration. 55 years of independence. 2032.
Before, in terms of political maturity.
I know, but in
terms of political maturity and increase in political knowledge, I think there should be a concerted effort to reorganize the social structure of our country. I think we do things willy-nilly. There should be some structure and organization in society. And we should try to create more families, because we have families, but we don't have enough families. We still have disjointed or extended families. And when we have more families, we'll have more houses. We will have a greater concentration of organized units, because the more organized units you have in a community, in a society, is the better it is for the society. So I think a number of things must be looked at. Creating more family units, augmenting the units that we already have, looking at our housing stock, and probably rethinking housing, because what we're doing now is apartments, and this now is a cesspool for problems in the future. Because those apartments we're building everywhere, they're going to turn into shanties and ghettos eventually, because when maintenance is not done, and based on experiences with those, and for, I mean, we can go to Silver Lake right now, to the apartment over there, and just have a look at it and tell me what you see 10 years after. So I think we should create housing stock that blends with the environment. I don't think we should do apartments. We should go with housing units. Government should not just be giving houses free. They should create the environment for us to be able to get houses for
And to pay
ourselves.
for our own housing. Uh-huh.
Yeah, make it more honorable, and dignified. I'm not saying that they should not help, but at least if I can pay $5, let me pay $5. Do not just expect to give everybody a house, because that is setting up
But you're
yourself
not
for,
giving it, you're lending it because you're not giving them the title.
yeah, that too. So these organize our society in a way that we can have longevity, and
Right,
that the children and children
right.
and children tomorrow would have seen a sustained and structured approach at developing Dominica, like the Chinese are doing. If the Chinese are our friend, we should learn from the Chinese. They may not have a democratic regime, which they don't think they need in China, and that's all good for China. But the Chinese government have a blueprint for the next 200 years. What is Dominica's blueprint for the next 5 years? So that is what we need to do. I'm not too sure that the present regime wants to do that, whether they are thinking about it, but that is what we should do. We should be starting thinking about, talking about it now. After this meeting today, somebody should call me and call you and say, let's start talking about the blueprint for Dominica in the next 5 years,
And
medium
that's what
term.
I'm suggesting. And I know folks like Afi Martin and some other people, and they were consultants that were engaged, and they developed a plan for the country. Technology has and development has leaped forward, but it could be a place to start because it was
Yeah.
comprehensive. It talked about management of our rivers. It talked about our different industry that we could start. There were examples of major projects. As you talk about housing, um, I live in New York City. I live in Brooklyn, and I have worked in public housing, a private company doing construction in public housing apartments, and I did it for about 5 6 years, and in those times, Alex, I have seen like 6 murders right in front of me because that
Wow.
is that is what public housing devolves into. And when I saw that that is what was going on in Dominica, I'm like, oh my God,
That's a
you know,
mistake.
it's a
It's a,
ghettoization of the
of our
country.
communities. It's a mistake. It's a mistake, Tony. Mark my words. It's a mistake. And not just that, but look at the social problem it causes. Because you have different families in the same building, in the same unit. We do not know who is a pedophile. We do not know who is a escamote. You have children growing up in a community in different apartments in the same building, exposed to any and everything. So that too affects the quality of families as well, and the quality of life that people live.
But it's the lack of ownership that is the issue. Because you also have condo buildings and co-op buildings that have numerous different families living there. And
But
because they are
these are
privately
private
owned,
development.
because
These
they're
are private
privately
development.
owned, you don't see that same thing.
So
And so
the government of Dominica should divest itself from the holding of those buildings and give Paris, Stewart Paris, the contract, and any other business person the ability to create real sustainable condo style buildings owned by individuals with rules, with what they call it again, they call it something like they have certain standards and laws that everybody
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
they have
in
the
the area must,
bylaws and the regulations of the condo
right,
association.
right,
But is the
with a
but is the
maintenance plan.
ownership that's the issue. Alex,
Yeah.
we have our Kalinago people who have property in common, and we should be working on solving that and helping them to figure out a way to benefit from the land, the ownership of the land. But instead of doing that, we are spreading the concept all around the country where we put people in housing in common ownership. Well, it's not even ownership because they don't own it, but uh,
common habitation. But
yeah,
you know that is that's I mean that's a page from the old communist playbook, you know. So well, although communism, I shouldn't say that, no. So well, it's a from the authoritative playbook, I should say,
authoritarian.
authoritative playbook.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where
So
we control your means of living, we give you the benefits that you expect to get, we take care of the food that goes on your table, we give you a good time, and we control you forever because you're going to keep us in power to do that over and over and over and over and over again. Can this be rivaled? Of course. Can this be
of
challenged?
course,
Yes.
of
Because
course it
Dominicans
can.
are not really they're not really enjoying this as long as they see an opportunity. If you can create a difference to a housing program that shows Dominican a different way. Look, you are in the house. We're going to take that house from you. We're not going to ridicule you. We're going to give you dignified ownership of the house. Those people now can turn to support you because you're already talking to them their language. But when you start chastising the people that give them the house and call them lazy and hungry, they're going to say, well, okay, they're going to stay with the person that give them the house. But you have to show them, look, you have the house, I'm going to give you a fridge. Or I'm going to show you how you get a fridge to put in it. I'm going to come and visit you and shake your hands. How many people of the opposition that has gone to those apartments and sit and talk to those people? I do not know. If they didn't call me when my son died, you think it's the apartment they're going to go and sit down and talk to people?
Well, that was my response to you when I said it's part of the extension of the failure of politics. So, so in terms of going forward, in terms of where we have to go as a people, um, it seems like in this discussion at least it goes through a change in regime.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. A government change is the most significant necessity in Dominica at present and going back at least 10, 15 years.
Mhm.
Certainly. If one thing is true, Tony, government or regime change is the impetus that Dominica needs right now. And people may say, well, who? That will answer itself when it happens. I do not think that any new government in Dominica now will do worse than the current government. No, I'm not saying that the government is doing badly. What I'm saying is, after a quarter century, something new will certainly do something differently from what you have been doing. And the people in government should not feel as if they're going to be victimized, or they should not be scared of that. I think they are, because they think if the party that has been in opposition for so long gets in, they will be in trouble. I don't think anybody who's in government now should be out of office, out of work, but victimized when a new government comes in. I think the millionaires who became millionaires on the resources of our country should remain millionaires. We just have to create more millionaires. So the people who are sponsoring the campaign of the Labour Party now should not feel threatened if Labour Party is not in office, because you're going to continue having money. It's just that more people will have money. That is the narrative we have to share. But when you threaten the people who support the party, and people are going to say, well, you know what, I'm not going to take a chance with you because I might be in trouble. The narrative, Tony, must change. And if the narrative changes, the government will fall. And then we will see better days. But with the current government for the future, I do not see the kind of progress that you are wanting me to speak to. Regime change. And after that, let us put the pieces together using the people who were in office before, in any way that they can be used to continue growing our country. But regime change would be the number one thing at this moment. And the people who are going to form the new government should have a plan that the people could endorse, that will bring the kind of progress that our country needs. Enough is enough, Tony. We have suffered enough.
Oh yeah.
We need
Are you
progress.
are you familiar with the term gentrification?
Yes.
I went when when I was in Dominica, Alex. I live in Brooklyn, and I have seen a couple of neighborhoods gentrified, or the process is ongoing. And people might say it's a conspiracy theory, but when I went to Dominica, and I had the benefit of not having been there for 14 years. Is this? I went in 2010, and I went again in 2024. And what I saw was gentrification, where it seems as though somebody is trying to empty Dominica of Dominicans. That's what I saw. Because in gentrification, what the first step is to make the community so unbearable that the people who are able to go elsewhere choose to go elsewhere, and then the people that choose to stay, you make them so miserable that they go by any means necessary, or they lose any kind of hope of life improvement. And that's what I saw in Dominica. I saw individual Dominicans doing very good with the little that they had, but anything that was public, government supported, was done at the bare minimum. It's like, your father died, Alex, and he gave me his money to hold. And because I hold in your father money, you come in and ask me to do things for you. And so the bare minimum I can do for you, I doing it because I don't want to spend the money on you. That that is the impression I saw when I was in Dominica. That anything the government was doing, it was doing it minimally, and the people of Dominica, being the strong and resilient people that they are, the little bit that they have, they were stretching it and really achieving a lot with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again probably it's the same one mind idea, one person idea that is causing the problem. For look at something that happened just yesterday. Jamaica was in the eye of a hurricane, and Melissa caused havoc. There, I just
Hmm.
talked to a Jamaican friend of mine who has not heard from her mom, and she's of course nervous.
Right.
But look at what St. Kitts and Antigua did with their students to bring them back home before the hurricane. And we it's like we didn't even remember to do something like that for our young people. Our Dominicans had to fight it out their own after the fact. Somebody said that let's do something, give them some ration money. I mean, bring our students home in a day, put them on a plane and get them home, let them come and spend 2 3 days with their family and fly them back to Jamaica. St. Kitts did it in style, Antigua did it in style, all other countries did it, but we didn't. Probably the Prime Minister forgot to think about it because he's busy. If we had a system in place that honors this kind of things, we could have been doing so much better. I'm not criticizing government just because I want to. I mean, after a quarter century, couldn't we be doing better? If you have been winning and you are there for so long, Dominica should be flourishing. People are sucking salt in Dominica too.
With lime,
For
yeah.
25 years of one government. It cannot be right. So I will speak whenever I get a chance to speak. Like I'm speaking now, and this is good therapy for me because I've not done that in a while. And I'm willing to continue the engagement because until and unless we change the status quo, things are going to remain the same. And people may say, well, Alex, why you always take out the government? Why not? Why after 20 something years as prime minister, you do not think you have to go, or 25 years of government, you don't think you should allow somebody else? Why can't our wonderful young prime minister go and enjoy his life out of office for 10, 15 years and then try again if you want a bit later on, or go work somewhere else and do something? Why does it have to be you in office solely? Again, and that's not a criticism of the prime minister. It is just a natural way of life. I
Yeah.
was in the calypso business for 10 years. I left it. I have not been back since. You have to move on and let other people get involved in business. You can't want to lock down power and doing all you can to lock it down. I mean, enough is enough. And people must be willing to tell the prime minister that to his face, but they are scared of talking to him because he will not take care of them. He will not give them the stuff that they normally get. They will not get a season ticket for Creole Fest and stuff like that. No, we can't run a country based on that. I mean,
All
if
right.
you love somebody out there, tell them the truth about about how you feel.
It's an hour and a half now, Alex. Now, so thanks for the
Hour and a half
indulgence.
already?
Yeah, thanks for the indulgence. I'm going to ask you to make some closing remarks. But in your closing remarks, I am really about moving forward and changing circumstances. So as I am challenging you as we close the program, right? To
Yeah.
to talk about our aspirations. Let's be aspirational.
Well, kind of gentle nation. That's not my words. That is Mr. James's and the EWP's word. Let's be kinder and gentler. Again, I am hesitant about giving so much information because I'm part of a team that is planning to do exactly what you're asking me to do. So I'm not going to preempt the team and say everything that the team is planning to say. Give
Hmm.
Carlos and his team the honor of doing that. But I will
Hmm.
just keep it in general, as I've been saying. General. Let's be kinder. Let's be gentler. Let's unite based on a particular vision that should come from maybe one mind, but all of us should support it. A vision that calls us together to take action based on the words that are enshrined in our national song. We should recreate the Dominican society to suit with the modern demands, and we should not exist in a situation where government decides our wealth and our progress. That should be based on us by government giving us the enabling environment. Regime change in Dominica is a necessity. It is needed. It is the key to open up Dominica's fortunes because after a quarter century of the same regime, there's that much you can expect. And I'm just hoping that we do things based on merit, and those people who can do stuff to assist the masses should be allowed to do the stuff to assist the masses. It should not be about you as a politician or government or cabinet. It should be about the people, and not just the people currently, but the generation, the Gen Alphas that's going to be coming and asking a lot of questions. What have you done to buy Dominica? So that's what I see for Dominica. And I'm hoping that we find a way to get it done. I wish us well. I'm a friend to all, and I'm willing to embrace and speak and engage with anyone who has a progressive plan for the development of our country, one that speaks to the true aspirations of us as a nature island. And that is how I would like to end my presence on your program today, Tony.
I am honored, and I want to give Viva is saying, Alex, please accept Viva's apologies on behalf of GWP. If, as you have alleged, no one at the top of the brass of the party has reached out to you and offered condolences on the passing of your son, as difficult as this is to believe, it saddens me that you will have repeatedly stated so tonight. One feels your pain. Viva is in no position to offer anything on behalf of UWP. However, to the extent that your statement reflects the truth, please accept this humble apology and hope
No,
that you are. All right. So I guess Viva is
yeah,
saying, Viva is expressing condolences and
yes.
yeah.
Ronald Charles called me. Ronald Charles, my dear friend, and Mr. Edison James called me belatedly, but he did call, and that's it in terms of the
Okay.
party.
All right.
Yeah,
So, but my brother, I wish you continued healing. And as I said, um, we can do a 4 months or 6 months program where one Wednesday a month, you come on either in your capacity, in your own personal expertise, or whether you come on
yeah.
as part of the leadership of Team Unity Dominica. I have no crumbs, no issues with that. You know, you can get to Sam and organize it when we would start.
Okay,
Because I just started last week a program on agriculture,
okay.
sustainable agriculture and food production. So the third Wednesday of every month, I'm going to do this for the next several months with
Wonderful.
Adrian Banis. And so this sort of, unpacking, pulling back the curtains on our situations and seeing how we can move it forward would be great. And what we can probably do is when we have the program live, we can continue the discussion on social media until the next program, the following month.
No
And so
worries.
maybe we can bring together out of that a few like-minded people who can really sit down and put our heads together to see how we can take back Dominica. Say, parquet your point, Dominic had no. Parquet your point, Dominic had no. And it looks like we're not heeding that advice. How
Mhm.
can we how can we how we slow that trajectory and reverse it? So think about it, let us know. We,
Mm.
we will reach out as well. It's not something that you know. But when I made this suggestion, I'm serious, because
No worries.
it's all about what is good for Dominicans in Dominica and outside of Dominica. What is best, and so let's put our
Right.
heads together. If it starts with you and us to having a discussion, let's so be it.
Make it work. I mean, I honestly, over the past couple of months, I thought very long and hard about my continued involvement in the public space, long and hard about it. But you never give up on love, and I love my country. So I try my best, but I really came close to being another Edward Oliver LeBlanc. And I understood in that moment why probably Edward Oliver LeBlanc retreated to his house. I was
Mhm.
almost there, and I did understand. But as I
You,
said,
you
you
seem as
don't give up on love.
involved as you've been. That's the first time you've really seriously considered that.
Oh yeah, oh
Oh
yeah.
wow,
I was right there, man. You
wow,
can ask Carlos,
wow.
man. Carlos was one of those who keep calling me. I didn't mention him too because he's my brother. Kept calling me, hey, Powell, don't give up, man. You cannot do that. I'm telling you, man. I was already Libla. I was
Yeah.
already a Mr. Libla. I saw it happening. I saw myself being retreated into my own self. And when Sam called me, I said, boy, Sam, boy, I decided to do it. But yeah,
And we
I was,
appreciate it. And based on the participation that we got from the listeners and the viewers, it was well appreciated, very well appreciated. So thank you,
yeah, brother, no worries, man. Have a good
and
night and thanks for the
continue
opportunity.
to heal. All right, of course, it's a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. Really enjoyed this
Yeah, man.
conversation. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So, listeners, there you have it. Another episode of This Week in Interview with great participation. Pyro, Viva Mamo, Chiquito, Sam Hill, Didi, uh, folks who commented, Owen, Wilworth, Ambrose, um, all of you guys. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you so much for participating and listening. And of course, a very special thank you to my guest, Mr. Alex Bruno. We understand, I understand, but I definitely don't know what that pain would feel like. Um, having the life of your son suddenly cut short must be difficult and to deal with. But there is hope and there is light, and if we can help him to get over that by him coming and share his vast knowledge with us, we will grasp it with two hands and make use of it and see how we can have it to benefit Dominica and Dominicans, and in so doing, provide some catharsis for our friend, Mr. Alex Bruno. So, folks, happy independence to you. Happy independence to the Vinci people in the audience. They just celebrated Independence Day. And of course, to our Jamaican friends and family, our thoughts are with them. We hope that, as terrible as the storm was, just like in Dominica, um, our people showed that they're stronger and they survived it. So we hope that we keep getting messages of survival, um, as as um, as Jamaica reopens up. We have to look for solutions in the Caribbean. We know we get hit by hurricanes and they're becoming stronger and stronger. We have to use our brain power. We have to use our hands, our hearts to really um, fight that. So, folks, I want to say good night and have a wonderful remainder of the week. Happy Independence Day, happy Independence celebration to the people of Dominica. Let you know, let's think about it. Dominica is about to be 50. What can we do for the 50th anniversary? And what can we do to lift off a little bit more steeply, to help create the sort of quality of life, as Lennox Linton says, for Dominica to be the best place to work and to live. you know, and in pursuit of happiness. So, folks, good night. We kept you long enough, so I'll see you next week, Wednesday, for another episode of This Week in Interview. Thank you to the team that puts this program together. I appreciate it. Good night.